Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic and your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. Today I wanted to talk about something very important. And I think it's one of the reasons why we are having a big downfall of the family unit and society itself. And this ties into self-love. Peer pressure. Wanting to fit in with the herd, instead of doing what is right. And the tricks toxic people such as narcissists play on those they prey upon. And even those that aren't complete narcissists that are taking on the traits of the narcissist. And trying to fit in with others in society. Which ends up at the end of the day looking like narcissism. You see, the narcissist as we talk about here. When you first meet them, they love bomb you. And for those that are new, love bombing is when someone treats you like you are the best thing in the world. They buy you gifts. They seemingly spend all of their time and energy on you. They call you their soulmate. They also put you up to the tops of life. Now to backtrack a moment. And it's something I want to talk about in more upcoming videos. I don't know what it is. But I've been becoming very disturbed lately that we live in a world where if you do show love to someone you care about, it's seen as a weakness. Now though love bombing has always existed as a way to trap a prey item. To get them literally chemically addicted. By the way of the happy brain chemicals shooting around in one's brain. When such love bombing occurs. With that said, if you look back to those couples that married like 60 years ago and they are still married to this day. Though many of these couples went to school together. And got to vet one another for years. Before dating. Which I think is the most healthy way to pair up. With that said, the way these strong men and wonderful women dated back then would be seen as weak. I mentioned a couple of videos back about military men writing home to their wives calling them their dearest love. And the couples from that era that are still living today. They still look at each other in the eyes like they did when they were 18 years old and started dating. And sadly that way of being has been hijacked into either being weak or love bombing. Nothing in between. It's just sad. But back to what I was saying. Narcissist will love bomb you. They will come on strong for the first 6 months. Which is the typical time frame most narcissists will do this love bombing technique. Now narcissists can and will do this love bombing longer or as needed if there is a big reward for them at the end. Such as scamming their target out of a bunch of money. Out of a house. You name it. Narcissist will find a reason to love bomb you. But for the average relationship, the love bombing goes on for about 6 months. Or possibly a year. But then something happens. The narcissist will start to devalue you. And they do this to take away. To take away this fantastic love that you have not only gotten used to, but unknown to you. You are now completely hooked and addicted to this treatment they gave you. And what do addicts do when the thing they are addicted to is suddenly taken away? They either go through withdrawals. And during this time of withdrawals, they spend every second of the day they can to try to obtain this thing that they are so strongly addicted to. In this case the fake love of a narcissist or another toxic person. Now, how does this narcissist or other toxic person devalue you? They might give you the silent treatment. Such as where they were originally calling you all of the time and talking to you all of the time. They now can't seem to be bothered with you. And when they are around you, they act like they are annoyed when you are talking to them. Susie, my ex, and other toxic people that I've encountered in my dating life. In this period of time, They all would say the same thing. The more you talk to me, the more you annoy me. Wait a minute. This is the same person or people that said they love talking to me. That they found someone that truly understood them. Now 6 months later everything you say is wrong or annoying. The other thing is they will fact check every single thing you say even when they know it's true. But they will take the word of a complete stranger even if that word of a stranger is completely wrong and even really bad information. The other thing they do, and I've talked about it before, is they will pick a time around this 6-month mark to have a big argument over the smallest of problems. One of the favorites the narcissist likes to argue about is you being 5 minutes late for picking them up to go somewhere. For some reason narcissists they love to argue with you when you are in a car. They love it. You show up, and they will question where have you been. They will accuse you of cheating on them. So forth and so on. They might even start punching and kicking your dashboard of your car, ruining your property. And then later on, they might cry and give a fake apology where they really don't admit guilt, but it's a way to hoover you back in and give you that thing you are addicted to so much. Also, and this is the reason we call such things the narcissist do test. It's because they want to see how addicted you are and if you will stay around them and continue going forward with the relationship. Don't worry. We will get to the most socially accepted do test of the narcissist. And why it's a big problem. But you see, if the narcissist can kick your dashboard of your car, throw a drink at you, ignore you, and say you are annoying, and they might even say they can't stand to hear you talk, when just months before you were the light of their life. If you stay, you are saying to the narcissist, you are a good source of narcissistic supply and let the games begin. And this is how a great many people get trapped into terrible relationships that last years. Literal years of hell on earth until they finally realize who and what they are dealing with. Now, as I've stated before in other videos, if this person came up to you on day 1 and dumped water on your head, cursed you out, and started kicking your car, you would probably call the police, along with probably never wanting to see or speak to them again. Here's the thing. The narcissist knows what evil they do to you is wrong and that most people won't accept it if it's just done in a blunt and open manner. So they have to pour some sugar on it. They have to get you to like the taste of their behavior before they do the switch on you. Now, with all of this in mind, this brings me to the most socially accepted and even encouraged narcissistic do test. And though I'm going to make this very clear here. Yes. I know. Both men and women toxic people do this horrible behavior. I know. I'm completely aware of this fact. And what I'm going to say is to help both men and women avoid this problem in the future. Because narcissistic abuse affects both men and women alike. However, this extremely socially accepted narcissistic do test is heavily pushed as something that is okay for women to do to men. And that men have to accept this behavior. And if you have a son or father or uncle or another male figure in your life that you love and care about, you will see and understand what I'm saying is true. Furthermore, I do watch other content. I don't always agree with a lot of things that are being said and done. But things I can spit out the bones and get the meat. And to be able to keep my pulse on what is happening in society and within regards to men and women relationships. Now, with all of this in mind, and the 6-month time frame we just talked about, the most socially accepted narcissist do test that seems to rear its head about 6 months after the relationship has begun. And I want all of you people out there that are dating to watch out for this one. And that is, I need to go to the nightclub and blow off some steam. And I don't want you to go. This is often referred to ladies' night. Now I know. Men can and do the same exact thing. However, I want you to be honest for just a moment. Think about all of the daytime talk shows that come on that talk about men and women relationships. Whenever the man is in the hot seat on some of these shows, and he's going out to such places leaving his crying wife or girlfriend at home, he's booed and called a dog, and it's said, "This is why women think there are no good men." So forth. And so on. But a few weeks later, when they are talking to a different set of people and they have a woman upset about how her relationship is going, and part of her complaint is her boyfriend or husband gives her a hard time because she wants to go to the exact same type of places. The man that was called a dog 2 weeks before on the same show for the same type of behavior. But now on this show, the hosts are trying to talk to her boyfriend and or husband, trying to explain to him that she just needs her space and he needs to understand he's controlling. And this is the common theme you will see on most, if not all, of the talk shows, and the relationship help shows, and anywhere else in society you can look. But my question is, did the relationship start off that way? Did it start off that way on day one? With this person? No matter it be a man or woman. Did they show up on day one saying, "Hey, that was a great dinner. And it was so cool hanging out with you. And you know what, I think you are my soulmate. However, you're going to have to go home. Because I have to go to the nightclub and blow off some steam. And you can't come." Here's the thing. Most people wouldn't go along with that. Just like they wouldn't go along with someone pouring a bucket of water on their head upon their first meeting. And when I say most people, that even includes those of us raised in such homes with a narcissist parent or parents. I'm pretty sure many of us have come across some really terrible people before we got tangled up with our narcissist ex. And guess what? We didn't get involved with these overtly terrible people. Why? Because we noticed what they were doing was either rude or overtly disrespectful. However, the narcissist we ended up with, they weren't like that. They were charming and kind. And just to backtrack a moment, not all people that are charming and kind are narcissists. I know many of you out there are really nice people, and I bet light up a room when you're in it. And that doesn't make you a narcissist. That just makes you a kind and loving person. Which is a good thing. But with that said, narcissist will use this charm and fake love to weave their way into your life, and then bam, they will hit you with some strange request. Which is against all of what one should be doing to build a good family unit. Now you might be the exception to the rule. But every man and every woman that I seen try to go to the club or happy hour after work, every single one I've seen in life, they all ended up cheating in one way or another. If it was taking the number of another person they met at such a place, or kissing, or even more. And it's important to know, some of these people I don't believe were narcissists. However, they had narcissist friends that peer pressured them into going to such places. And possibly the first week nothing bad happened. But the more and more such people go to such places, the more they loosen up. And the more they find faults with their loving partner. And before you know it, they are throwing away something good for something bad and temporary. Now, why is this important, and how does this tie in with self-love and self-betterment? Well, like I mentioned, I will watch lots of other content out there. Some content I don't agree with everything. But one message I see pushed a lot. At least for young men. And yes, it does hold true for women as well. However, just please consider the climate of society. But many of these men tell the young guys to completely leave if a woman wants to engage in such behavior. That you can't nor should want to ever control the woman. However, the one person you can control is yourself. Let me ask you, are you in this boat right now? If this wonderful person that you met on the first date cut the date short to run to the club and told you to stay behind, would you want to have a second date with this woman? Exactly. You probably wouldn't want to ever see this woman again. So why is it different that it's 6 months later that you are feeling stuck? You are feeling stuck because this cunning person knew exactly what they were doing. Please know. No matter we are talking about a male narcissist or a female narcissist. They plan nearly everything they do. If they are doing something, bet your bottom dollar they are doing it for a reason. You see, the narcissist knows that you likely wouldn't take them seriously if they pulled such a stunt on you on the first day of getting to know you. Because you don't know them from a can of paint. However, they know that you will have a harder time leaving them and you will be more willing to accept garbage behavior if you've spent an extended amount of time with them. And you've invested in them somehow. And the time you spend with this person wasn't just good, but better than you've ever experienced in your entire life. And what's funny is when some of these men tell other men to not deal with such women that do this do test. A great many of the women on the show, or the lady callers that call in, they get angry and mad and don't want men to hear this message to avoid and walk out on such women. Which is basically someone getting mad about hearing what the narcissist do test is. And how to and why to walk away from such a situation and such a person. And furthermore, it's really telling that amount of ladies that get angry when men say, "This is what it is," and run like the wind when you see it. Again, to my female viewers, I know this happens to you. I know it does. And the rules are the same. You should run like the wind too. However, in society right now, the good men in your life, if you have a brother that you love, or a father that you love, or any other man in your life that means something to you, they are being told that accepting such behavior is not only normal but it's something they are shamed into doing. They are shamed into accepting such things by society. You see, if this one thing changed, where at least men started to say no more to this, and the women that this is happening to were able to do the same, we might be able to start to keep the narcissist's hand out of your relationships. Look. And this is me speaking as a male. The moment a man's wife or girlfriend takes on her first real good job, she's now in an environment where he stands a big chance at losing her. The peer pressure is that strong. It's that strong. I know a woman that told me, "Why is it when I have a small problem with my husband, the other women at work first serious suggestion is to get a divorce?" She then said she learned to keep quiet about even such small home matters as she quickly learned what answer she was going to get. But with that being said, think about the good males in your life. Even if they meet a really good woman, society is designed in such a way to take that woman from him. There's peer pressure at work. There's peer pressure at school. There's peer pressure everywhere. Because at work, most workplaces try to pretend to be your family. And if you don't go out and do this with your work family or that with your work family, then you must not be a good worker. It's all nonsense to strip you down of having a real identity that they meaning your work has no part of. And I think where a big dent can happen in this problem and bring things back around to center, if for both men and women to understand why the narcissist does what they do, it's to get you addicted to them. So when they pull, "Well, I'm going over here or going over there and I don't want you around," that should be your first red flag to love yourself enough to not accept such behavior. And this is why you should have wonderful hobbies that gives you that tingle in your brain and that makes you feel good inside. So when you see such a behavior, let this person go. And jump right into the things that bring you joy and happiness. You see, the one thing that those older couples have in common is from the day they started to date and date seriously, it was them against the world and they stayed together. And when I mean they stayed together, they really stayed together. Meaning most of their activities were with one another. Maybe the wife might sit in the dining room with some of her friends and drink coffee and play cards for a few hours while they talk and catch up. Or she might go shopping with her sister. Meanwhile her husband might be doing something else just as tame. but there was a sense of respect and morality. Now, were there players and narcissists back then? Yes. There were. And sure enough, they were doing the love bombing and leaving their for the most part wives at home. Because back then, if you were that type of guy, it was socially accepted, sadly. However, the main difference is, it wasn't pushed as something to do and something to pursue. But with that being said, these older couples you see today that are so happy and in love, they likely have been like that the entire time. It was them against the world, and they wouldn't dare let someone swindle them out of their relationship. Now the swindling is at an all-time high. A guy might have a great woman, and she ends up at a new job. And before you know, her co-workers are peer pressuring her into doing things she shouldn't be doing, and going places she shouldn't be going, and ruining what could have ended up being one of those 65 or 75-year-old marriages. And here's the thing, women that aren't narcissists in such a scenario, I feel bad for them too. They are being sold a lie by society and what one should be doing to have a successful relationship. And actually what they are being told to is wreck themselves and their household. And why are they being told to do that? Well, the narcissists in your life love to see decent people fall for a lie and do bad things. But on the big end of the world system, you being split up means less family protection and more money you will spend, and more money will go into that system, by the way of court fees and lawyer costs and all of the above. Those that control the purse strings have strong interest keeping you from having a happy relationship. Both men and women. I mean, it seems like there is a stumbling block on every corner, where even if you find someone good, the peer pressure of society can be too much and you might lose this person that you love so much and that honestly might love you. But with all of that being said, if someone out of the blue you've been dating pulls this on you, that they want to run the streets, while making sure you are patiently waiting for them at home, nope. Don't do it. This person is telling you loud and clear that the first 6 months was a complete and utter lie and you were just love bombed. And you know what? It's not even worth discussing it with this person, because it will just end up being a nasty argument that the narcissist will enjoy. The saying is, don't roll around or wrestle with a pig, because the pig will enjoy it and they are good at it. You're not. Just say, you know what? I think we are on different pages here. This isn't the kind of relationship I want to have. And I think it's best I leave now. If they beg you to stay, it's just a trick. If they say they won't go, it's just a trick. Love yourself. Love yourself. Just think about it. They are wanting you to stay at home like a nobody while they go to get hit on by this person and that person, while you sit there and do nothing but watch television. Love yourself more than that. You're a valuable person, and that's not a position for a valuable person to be in. And though I say no matter if you are a man or woman and this is happening to you, this is a big red flag and get out. I get happy when I hear men and some women now telling men to not fall for this trick. Because that's exactly what it is. It's a trick. Because this sick tactic. Because that is what it is. This sick tactic has been normalized by society, in order to break up the family unit, to where it's almost impossible for most men today to hang on to any woman. But if enough men say no to this, even if it's painful to walk away after 6 months of love bombing, quite possibly we can get some correction of society back to the center. And then one more thing of evil can be taken off of the table. Look. Narcissists love to dress up what they do as something other than what it is, which is pure evil. And in this case, you will hear, well, it's about just having fun. And it's just about blowing off steam. But the question you should ask yourself is, why wasn't this happening on day one? And if this wasn't happening on day one, and then 6 months later, A friend from their past you haven't met yet magically shows up wanting to take the love of your life to a place that isn't conducive to having a healthy long-term relationship. Then you know there is a problem. Likely this person was a fraud from the word go, and this is just a pattern they follow with each and every person they are with. That's right. To them you aren't special. You are just an object and a task to complete. Can they get you to conform to their brainwashing? You don't and likely won't hear this on the many daily talk shows. This is brainwashing. Because it's teaching and training you to go against your very nature as a human being and to not love yourself and to accept a lower status position in life and in your relationships. But what should be taught is self-love. If such a person switches on you, let them go. Kindly and politely. Don't fight with them. Don't argue with them. And no need to tell them what they are doing is wrong. Just tell them this isn't the relationship for you and to wish them luck. If they aren't a narcissist, over time of having this same reaction from others, they might get the hint and reject the narcissism being pushed in society. And honestly, that's what it's going to take. You see, you can't have too many objectives out there to get morality to become a standard. You have to get one societal win and then go for another and then another. And again. This does happen to both men and women. I personally know some women this very example has happened to. However, they will even admit there is a bias in society and a bias in the media and content that people consume. Where if a man has a standard to not put up with such a thing, there is something wrong with him. But when a woman is being put through such a thing, all the talk show hosts side with her as a victim. The truth of the matter is most of these people don't care about right and wrong. Because if it makes a good story and it gets people riled up, and they get paid, they don't care what happens to people that follow their ways they are promoting. And furthermore, some of them, just like many narcissists in the world, think you are stupid for going along with the nonsense they preach to others. So ladies, if a man is doing this to you, love yourself and know that it's a red flag to run. But if you have men in your life that you love and care about, please know the truth. They are being targeted and they are being pushed down in society. And this is one big way it is happening to them. Stand up and tell them what this is. Tell them what to look for. Teach them how to slow things down. And how to detach from what is happening so they can have a clear mind after such love bombing and get away. And for all of you men that are listening, if you do have an open-minded conversation with other men about this topic, I would say pick your spots carefully. If you can tell someone isn't open to talk about it, again, remember the wrestling pigs analogy. But if they seem open, just ask the question. Why would a woman or anyone treat you like a king for 6 months straight and act like a certain type of person? Then literally on a dime switch into a different person and want to put you in a lower status in the relationship by such behavior. Why wouldn't they just do that from day one if that is really who they are? And I think through such conversations, hopefully a bigger number of men will see that such behavior isn't good at all. It's actually trickery and narcissism to a high level. And the more men can do this, the more this one terrible norm might fade from society. And if this one norm can fade from society, then we move to the next and the next. It's a do-do test. It's just a big giant turd. A turd called narcissistic abuse. Well, that's all I have for now. Please chime in and tell me what you think. I would like to know. Also, on my last video, thanks so much for all of the comments. I've been reading them. I just haven't had a chance to respond. There is so much there I would love to talk about in the future. Again, I'm working on some things for this channel. I appreciate your understanding. I know we'll get there together. It's a long road. But we can make it. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.